Cool. I think we can get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Jay. I'm one of the expert IELTS teachers here at E2 Language. In this live class, we're going to look at IELTS Academic Writing Task 1. We're going to look at bar graphs. This is the second one that I've done on bar graphs. So if you've missed the first one, you might want to watch that. So on test day, you might see something that looks like this. The more that I do IELTS Writing Task 1, the more that I think this is actually really, really complex and really hard to get right. Whoopsie, sorry about that. You need some sort of structure to do that. And let's just look at this graph here. Let's just take a close look at it. Okay. First thing that I notice about this is that there's a blue and there's a red, okay? Blue is for Democrats, red is for Republicans, okay? And then the second thing I notice is the x-axis. No high school graduate, some college, college graduate, postgraduate. Fine. Then I notice over here, percentages. So I can sort of look at this and I can just sort of work out just from looking at it that let's just look at Democrats first. Let's just look at the blue ones, forget the red ones, Democrats. So about 4% of Democrats have no high school. And about 22% of Democrats have a high school graduate certificate. About, what's that, like 27% or something of Democrats have some college education. Let's keep looking at the blue ones. Same thing here, about 27%, it looks like, of Democrats have a college graduate degree. And finally, here we can see about 20% of Democrats have a postgraduate degree. Now let's look at Republicans, okay? Because at some stage, we're going to have to compare these two voter groups. So Republicans have about, what's that, 3 or 2%, maybe 2%? I can't tell exactly because there's no granularity here, but I can guess that that's about 2% of Republicans have no high school. What's this? About 22% of Republicans have a high school degree. Fine. About 30%, so it's a bit higher than the Democrats, about 30% of Republicans have some college. Same thing here, about 30% have a college graduate degree. And what's this, like 16% maybe have postgraduate qualification for Republicans. Okay, that's fine. So we've understood Democrats, we've understood Republicans. Let's now sort of think about comparing the two because we're going to have to do that. So let's think about comparing these two. So no high school. So more Democrats, it should say Democrats, by the way, not Democrats. That's a spelling mistake. So more Democrats have no high school. Okay, so in other words, more Republicans passed high school than Democrats. Okay, fine. Let's look at this one here, high school graduate. It's almost identical. This one, some college, more Republicans have some college than Democrats. More Republicans have a college graduate degree than Democrats. But here, more Democrats have a postgraduate qualification than Republicans. So we've just done, very quickly, we've done two things. The first thing we did was we understood the graph and we looked at the sort of key features, okay, of each of those bars. Second thing we did was we sort of compared Republicans versus Democrats, okay? This is what you need to do. In fact, let's have a closer look at what you need to do on test day. Where is it? Okay, here. If we read this first sentence, it says the graph below shows the levels of education of Democrat and Republican voters in the USA. The graph below shows the levels of education of Democrat and Republican voters in the USA. Okay, I think we understand that now. Now we need to do three things. We need to summarize the information, select and report the main features, and make comparisons where relevant. We need some sort of structure here. What we're going to do is we're going to write a 3-section, I wouldn't call it an essay, a description, a 3-section description. We're going to summarize very briefly. We're going to describe key features, and then we're going to compare the two. Okay, So what we're going to write on test day will look like this. The first part is a summary. And in fact, this is quite a long summary. Usually we'll just write a single sentence, but for this one, I thought that I'd write 2 sentences because I needed to. And then in the second paragraph, we'll have a description. And then the third paragraph, we're going to compare Democrats and Republicans, okay? So let's think about how we summarize first, which is this first part here. Let me read it to you. The bar chart illustrates the various levels of education of 2 sets of voters in the USA, Democrats and Republicans. The educational qualifications include no high school graduates, some college graduates, and postgraduate studies. So we've basically just well, 2 sentences here, we've described that graph. And all we did to do that is we just rewrote this in our own words and a little bit differently because I included features from the graph. But what I want you to do is just to rewrite this single sentence in your own words. I'll give you 1 minute to do that, please. Don't worry about the x-axis stuff. Just rewrite this 1 sentence, please. And let me fix something before you do that, because it should be Democrat with a capital D and it should be Republican with a capital R. All right, let me have a look, you guys here. Okay. The bar chart depicts the educational levels between the Democratic and Republican eligible voters in America. Yay, take a bow. That was a beautiful, beautiful little description. Well done. The graph represents the different types of educational levels of 2 groups, full colon, not semicolon, Democrats and Republicans in the USA. Good, well done, that's fine. The graph illustrates the level of education of 2 main categories of voters in the USA. That is Democrats and Republicans. Good, really good, I'm happy with these. The graph below describes the number of Democrats and Republican voters who take no high school postgraduate in the USA. Okay, sorry, my colleague's looking through the window there. The bar chart illustrated some okay, this one's off topic. This bar graph illustrates some Democrat and Republican vote percentages in the USA. You've left out a critical bit of information, which was the levels of education of voters in the USA. The given chart depicts data regarding the level of education of the following 2 voter groups in the United States: full colon, not semicolon, 2 dots, not dot and line, Republican and Democrats. One more. The bar graph below illustrates the education level among 2 types of voters in the USA. Great, that's fine. That's fine. Good, that's the easy part. That's the easy part. Now we get into the hard part. So there was mine. Mine was longer because I took the x-axis information and I included it, including the no high school, the high school graduates, the some college, the college graduates, and the postgraduates. You can do that if you want, but I'm happy with yours. Okay, now we move to the next section, the tough, well, this isn't the hardest part. This is where we need to describe main trends or key features. Okay, describe main trends or key features. We're not comparing yet. Okay, so let's read mine. I said, overall, comma, educational qualifications varied among voters. Very few people did not graduate from high school, and a small percentage achieved postgraduate qualifications. Most people attained a high school certificate, achieved some college, or actually graduated from college. Okay, let's read it again. And I want you to, while I'm reading this, to think about the graph itself. So my first sentence, overall, educational qualifications varied among voters. It did vary among voters because remember we had some that were 3%, some that were 22%, some that were 30%, etc. Second sentence, very few people did not graduate from high school. Okay, that was right at the left-hand side of your screen. And a small percentage achieved postgraduate qualifications. That was at the very right-hand side of your screen. So they were the smallest number of percentages. And then in the middle of the graph, we had most people attained a high school certificate, achieved some college, or actually graduated from college. So let's look at this again. So what I did, before you look here, don't look here just yet. Just look at this graph. So first sentence, what I did is I just described this overall. And what can you see? Well, it varies, various numbers. Okay, here it's like 3%, here it's like 20, here it's like 30%. So educational levels of voters in the USA vary. So say something about it varying. They vary or various. People achieved various levels because it is varied, right? Okay, then what I did is this. I said, okay, very few people did not finish high school. Remember, I'm just describing key features. I'm not getting into any detail here. No y-axis stuff. Okay, so nothing from here. And I also said very few, I said also very few people completed postgraduate studies, which is kind of a little bit inaccurate, but it was okay. And then I said most people got a high school certificate, completed some college, or graduated from college. So I want you to do this. Let's look on the right-hand side now. I want you to just quickly describe, and you may want to combine sentence. You might want to combine this with this, or this with this, or this with this, whatever. But you just need to describe the key features, no details, just the key features of people who achieved. And also we're not talking about specifics of Democrats and Republicans. We're just sort of looking at the blue and red lines, the key features. So here it's quite small. Here it's larger, 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 and reasonably small. So we talk about no high school graduation, some college, college graduation, postgraduate studies. So I want you to try and write this in about three sentences max. You might have to combine. We're not comparing though. Just see if you can do this. Just describe the various levels of education, please. I'll give you 3 minutes. In fact, I'll give you 5 because I'm feeling generous. Excellent. So I've got one here on YouTube, which I'm happy about. People who participated in the voting had various levels of education. The highest number of voters graduated from college and some were still in college, while the lowest voters had no qualifications at all. That's a really nice description of the key features there. Let me read some of them out from the live class here. Overall, some college and college graduation were the most preferred amongst both groups. Conversely, no high school and postgraduate education were the less popular amongst them. High school graduates was in third place. Okay, good, but I don't think popular is the right word here. It's not about popularity, it's about attainment, achievement, not popularity. So you could say most people achieved some college education, or most of the voters had achieved college education. Achieved, not popular. So think about those keywords like that. All right, by analyzing the given graph, it can be noticed that a slight number of voters, a small number of voters, are not holding a high school education degree. However, the majority portion among both sets had achieved some college and college graduate degrees. Excellent, well done, well done. That's all you need to do. You're just generally describing the graph. In the next section, we get into the comparison of the data, but that's different. Okay. In all, most people in the USA had graduated from high school, college, and had a certain level of college degree. A few individuals are not only able to attain high school and postgraduate qualifications. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Overall, the least number of people did no high school, followed by those who did postgraduate studies. Most people did some college or graduated from college, while a fewer did high school graduation. It's hard to write this in a way that's fluent and clear and easy to read. It really does require practice. And what you're really doing here is you're stepping back from that graph. You're stepping back and you're not looking at the numbers. You're really looking at the image of the graph. And you're noticing that here is small. It's quite a basic thing you're doing. You're really stepping back and saying, okay, if I just look at the pattern, the key features of this graph, I can see that most people achieved college degrees. Okay, so I can write a sentence saying most voters or most Democrat and Republican voters in the US had achieved a college level degree. And then I look over here and very few people did not finish high school. And then I can write another sentence, very few people did not finish high school or just achieved high school certificate. What's the word there? Attainment, something like that. Cool, well done, well done, well done. Good, let me read you mine again. I'm gonna read you mine again so you get this. Here we go, so it's this part here. Now, there's no numbers in here. You can see there's no numbers. I'm just generally describing key features. Overall, educational qualifications varied among voters. Very few people did not graduate from high school, and a small percentage achieved postgraduate qualifications. I could probably say in a reasonably small or a relatively small. Relatively, that would be a good way to make that more accurate. A relatively small percentage achieved postgraduate qualifications. Most people attained a high school certificate, achieved some college, or actually graduated from college. Okay, now we go into the comparison of Democrats versus Republicans, because we've generally described the graph here. Now we get into the comparison. So let's have a look at how we compare data. I'm going to read you this, then we're going to look at it and see how I did it. Comparatively, there were more Democrats than Republicans that did not finish high school. While about 2% of Republicans did not finish high school, about 4% of Democrats did not finish high school. That's too repetitive. I don't know, I'll think about how I can change that, but that's too repetitive. Next sentence and next part of the graph. Both Democrats and Republicans were almost equal in terms of graduating from high school at around 20%. Next sentence, more Republicans achieve some college. Some college. I wrote this very quickly, so I apologize. It's not great. More Republicans achieve some college at around 30%, while about 20% of Democrats achieve some college. Next one, around 30% of Republicans graduated from college, while this number was slightly lower for this is terrible. In fact, I'm not even going to read you that because I wrote it extremely quickly. Let's just look at it and think about how we can compare this data. So I want to compare Democrats and Republicans in terms of those who did not finish high school. And I want to write one sentence about no high school, okay? Then I want to talk about high school graduates, those who finished high school, Democrats and Republicans. And I'm going to say something about it's almost equal. Here, there's slightly more Democrats did not finish high school. Then I'm going to talk about some college. And I'm going to say more Republicans had achieved some college education than Democrats. And I'm also going to, when I'm doing this, I'm going to start to use these percentages. So what I need to do, the trickiest thing what you need to do here is think about how you start your sentences. And I'm beginning to think that the percentage would be a good way to start. So you could say something like, while 4% of Democrats achieved or did not finish high school, only 2% of Republicans did the same. So let's think about using the percentage. So for example, 30% of, where's 30%? 30% of Republicans achieved some college education. There's a good sentence, a good clear sentence. Some college. So I want you to, let me just finish that, college education. So think about the subject of your sentence. Here's your subject here. 30% of Republicans, here's your verb, achieved some college education, while only 27% of Democrats did. So let's do this. Think about your sentences by starting with X percentage of Democrats or Republicans. And then you want your verb here, achieved, for example, ... Let's just write this sentence by sentence. I first just want you to do this one here, okay? Please write one sentence comparing Democrats and Republicans in terms of having a high school degree. All right, let's have a look at your sentence here. Okay. Very few Democrats did not complete high school education, while the number of Republicans was even fewer. Good. Good. Really good. Well done. That's it. That's it. That's it. The only thing you need to include is some of the y-axis, some of the percentage. So instead of saying a very few, you could have said 3%, or sorry, what is it? 4% of Democrats did not receive a high school education, while only 2% of Republicans did or did not. Good. About 4% of Democrats have no high school degree. See, the problem with IELTS writing task 1 is it's hard to find a simple sentence to write. This sentence I really like. About 4% of Democrats have no high school degree, while just 2% of Republicans did not attain a high school degree. That is crystal clear. The key to this is writing clearly. My example wasn't a good example, and I apologize. I wrote it in about, I don't know, 45 seconds after I'd just woken up from a sleep under my desk. But the key here is to find the subject. If you can find a good subject of the sentence. Now, it could be Democrat. It could be no high school degree. How are you going to start your sentence? Or it could be 4% of Democrats. There's your subject. Now we need a verb. Did not achieve a high school degree. That is how we're going to write this one. In fact, what I might do in a second is write it from the beginning. Good. All right, excellent. I'm happy with that. Let's do the next sentence. Now I want you to compare, sorry. I want you to compare those Democrats and Republicans with high school graduation. Let me delete that. So let's do number 2. Let's think about this one here. One sentence, please. Good. Let's have a look. Democrat and Republican holders of high school graduate degrees were almost the same. Full stop. Next sentence. It doesn't have to be in one sentence. You can write 2 sentences about the same thing. That's fine. Good. Republicans were slightly higher than Democrats with 22%. With 22%. Fine. Good. Good. Regarding high school attendance or high school graduation, both the Democrats and the Republicans attained the same level of this kind of education, almost at 30%. Good. Was it 30%? 20%. But anyway, good. That's fine. Moreover, Democrats and Republicans have almost the same percentage in attaining graduation degree of high school. Fine. All right. I'm going to do something here. Just bear with me because I want to write mine again because I'm really not happy about what I wrote. So I'm going to show you what my brain does when I'm trying to do this because it's really not easy. Okay, it's really not easy. Even for a native English speaker, it's not easy doing this. So let me delete that. Let me increase the size. And I'm going to, let me increase the size of this. I'm actually going to write this in front of you. Okay, okay, that should be fine. Now I don't need that, so that's fine. No, I don't need that. I can take that. Okay, let's have a look at my screen here. Okay, and all right, I'm going to type this. I won't do the y-axis data accurately, but I'm going to show you the importance of choosing a good subject. So I'm going to say approximately, whoops, that's too big. Let me just make that a bit smaller. Okay, so let's say this. Let's say approximately 4%, whoops, 4% of Democrats did not achieve or did not pass. That's my verb, did not pass, did not achieve, or did not graduate from high school. Approximately 4% of Democrats did not graduate from high school. In comparison, what can I say? Only 2%, 2% of Republicans. Now I need to think about another way to say graduate from high school. Did achieve, did pass, or did complete high school. Okay, let's look at this because it's interesting for a number of reasons. Firstly, what's the subject of my sentence here? Well, this is it here. Here's the subject of my sentence. And I think this is a really good way to go. Approximately 4% of Democrats did not graduate, there's my verb, from high school. And then I compared in a second sentence, I said, in comparison, 2% of Republicans, there's my subject, here's my verb, did complete high school. Nice, nice, I'm happy with that. Now let's talk about, what's the other one? What's the other one? Okay, high school graduation. Okay, okay, so it's almost equal at about 22%. So what I'm going to say here is this. I'm going to say, in terms of a high school qualification, Democrats and Republicans are almost equal at approximately 22%. Cool. Let's separate this just for argument's sake. And let's look at our second sentence here. So I've done something interesting here. I've introduced the next qualification by saying, in terms of a high school qualification, now I've written a single sentence, Democrats and Republicans. There's my subject. Here's my verb, are almost equal at approximately 22%. Great, let's just do one more. I'm going to decrease the size and I'm going to go down here. I'm going to look at this graph and I'm going to look at some college. Now, again, what's my subject? Am I going to start my sentence by saying some college? No. Am I going to start my sentence by talking about Democrats? Okay, okay. Maybe I can do that. I can say Okay. I could say Republicans have this is the problem. How am I going to do this? Okay, well, I think the easiest way is to write like the first sentence I did and say approximately 27% of Democrats have some college, while Republicans have slightly more. Okay, let's do that. So I'm going to do the same thing, but I've used approximately. So I say almost, I'm going to just use it again until I can think of another word. Approximately 27% of Democrats have some college experience. Is it experience? What is it? Some have partial college. This is the problem in the IELTS too, because you're writing with a pen and paper. So you have to restart this. So you really want to do your thinking before you write. So let's think. Approximately 20% of Democrats have partial college degrees. Fine, I'm going to start a new sentence. Or I can just say, while Republicans have slightly more, is that correct? Have slightly higher rates of this level of education. I mean, it's not great, but let's have a closer look at it. It's a really hard sentence to write. So here's my subject. Approximately 27% of Democrats, there's my red one, have, there's my verb, partial college degrees. Then I coordinate it. I put two sentences together and then I say Republicans, there's my subject, here's my verb, have, it's the same verb, but that's fine, slightly higher rates of this level of education. That was a tough one. Let's do one more. Let's do one more. Let's do the postgraduate one because it's quite different, okay? So, okay, let's write a different sentence. Let's say, while approximately 20% of Democrats have a postgraduate degree, only 17% of Republicans have the same level of degree. Okay, fine. So I'm going to start with a while sentence. Okay, so I'm going to say, while, I can't remember the number. What was it again? 17%. While 17% of Democrats have achieved a postgraduate degree, this number is relatively fewer or less for Republican voters. Okay, so I've written a different type of sentence here, a different type of sentence. And what I've done here is I've put this while at the beginning, then I've done my subject. Here's my subject in red. And then I put my verb, but this time it's have achieved. Sorry, have achieved postgraduate degree. Then I've said this number is relatively fewer or less for Republican voters. Okay. You can see even this is really hard, but the key is to find the subject. Once you find that subject, your sentences will come a lot easier. But if you're struggling to identify the start of the sentence, is it Republican? Is it Democrat? Is it some college? Is it 27% of Democrats? Once you find that subject, your sentences will then start to flow more easily. And when you're comparing, you can do it in a single sentence or you can write two sentences, but you need those words that compare, like while or in comparison or in contrast or conversely or something like that, okay? Really tough. Let's do one more. Let's have a look at, I want you to do the postgraduate one. Please write one sentence comparing Republicans and Democrats in terms of their postgraduate educations, please. All right, let's take a look. What have we got? What have we got? I washed my hair with shampoo. Never doing that again. Never washing my hair again. It's gone like a fluffy, I don't know. It's not good. Anyway, here we go. First of all, somebody said, is it okay to repeat the word approximately? Well, not really. You should use different synonyms like almost or about or around. Conversely, almost 20% of Democrats attained postgraduate degrees, while the figure for Republicans was only 15%. Yes, yes, that's good. Well done. I'm going to read that again. Conversely, almost 20% of Democrats, subject, attained, verb, good, 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 postgraduate degrees, object, while the figure for Republicans was only 15%. Excellent, well done. The Democrats have more voters with postgraduate degrees at about 17% compared to the Republicans that only have about 15% of their supporters that hold a postgraduate degree. Also very good, well done. Democrats who completed postgraduate degrees is about 20%, which reporting a higher portion than Republicans. That one needs some work. For postgraduate levels, about 17% of Democrats were recorded, while a little below this figure was for Republicans. Not bad. Following a different trend, the Republicans had approximately less than 17% postgraduate degrees than the Democrats, who had with almost 3% more than the Republicans. Good, well done. Somebody said, surprisingly, there should be no words like surprisingly in this. This is a very dispassionate, no opinion, no words like surprisingly, or it's obvious, or it's clear, or anything like that. It's just a pure description. So no opinions or no emotion should go into this at all. It's very scientific. So let's say Republicans achieved lower graduates than Democrats in postgraduate education, 15% and which was 15% and 20% respectively. So you missed the which was part. Good, well done. Good, 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 good. All right, I'm not going to read your mind because mine was terrible. Let's just recap what we've learned. All right, you need to summarize the graph. We learned how to do that by rewriting the description. Then we take a step back. This one's actually harder than it looks. And we need to describe the main trends or the key features. And how we do that is, well, how we do that is we step back from the graph and we look at how we looked visually at the graph. Okay, first of all, we notice that it varied. So we write a sentence that it varied. Then we'll write a sentence about how very few people have no high school education and very few people have postgraduate education. Then we'll write a sentence about how most people were in the middle. Most people had either some college or a college degree, high school, some college, or college degree. So they were our three sentences. And again, what we did is we stood back from it and looked at it from a bird's eye view. Then we got our microscope out and we looked in detail at the two Republicans and Democrats. And this had 17% and this one had 18%. And they were almost equal. And we compared that and we used the data. That is how you nail this task in the IELTS writing. This is by no means an easy task. This is really, I've been teaching this for a long time. And even for me, I mean, I'm not good at mathematics. Maybe that's my problem, but I find this really challenging. I really have to stop and think. For essays, for me, I can just write an essay, no problem. But for this task, I have to stop and I have to think and go, okay, what am I looking at here? What am I looking at? Then I can start to describe it properly. And the key that we found here is that you need to identify your subject. You need to think, what is the first part of my sentence before the verb? 17% of Democrat voters achieved verb, something like that. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. Anyway, yes. So we describe main trends and then we describe in detail and we compare. That's the key bit there. So anyway, that's what mine looked like. It's 176 words. I wrote it in about 4 minutes. So please don't judge me on this one because the third paragraph was not great. But anyway, that's what happens. And don't do that on test day. All right. If you need any help, if you want some feedback, if you need some methods for any of the tasks, please go to e2language.com. Think about signing up for a paid package because we do give you feedback, we give you tutorials, you can join the live classes. There's lots and lots of benefits to gain from becoming a member. Right now, though, I'm going to answer some questions and then I'm going to go home and have a cup of tea and I'm going to go to bed. Any questions, please? I'm wondering what I'll do in the exam if I find that I need to delete one sentence that I've already written to make it better. Can I scratch it and rewrite it? This is the problem with writing, handwriting an essay. Yes, you can put a line through it. Apparently you're not discredited or penalized for putting a line through your sentence. So that's fine. Good question. I think the key though on us is to think before you write. Because the problem that happens is you start writing your sentence and then you go, oh, it's not working. It's not making sense. And then you're scratching it out. What you want to do is stop and think your sentence and go, okay, I'm going to start with 17% of voters had postgraduate degrees compared to only 15% of Republican voters. Okay, that works. 17% of Democratic voters. It might change slightly, but think before you write your sentence. That will help. Cool. All right. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, somebody said this exam is not easy. I agree with you. Okay, so Emmy Adele, I'm a bronze student. I did my IELTS exam 1 week ago and the result is not yet announced. So my question is, which is the best time to have my tutorial? You should have taken your tutorial before your exam. Hopefully you don't need to take it. I mean, if you get the results, fantastic. If you don't get the results, you should schedule your tutorial immediately. Yes, because you want to get the feedback on your writing. You want to begin to understand what you're doing wrong. Okay, so that'll be critical. So do book that straight away, Emmy. Cool. Thanks, Joelle. Appreciate the birthday wishes. I just turned 33 on Sunday. I'm getting some gray hairs. And yes, but I'm not getting fat and I'm not getting bald yet. Maybe soon. See you guys soon.